Hello, humans. Hello, humans of the internet. We're back. We're back and we're semi-functional. I'm not breaking down crying every 14 seconds. It's spaced out to every 17 seconds, so it's more usable. We can do this. Hi guys. So I gotta do the calling out to people to come. Free beer. Maybe that could work. That could make it happen. So I'm gonna before we get into the fun topics that have we finally had two articles in the course of a month. DC Lonnie Johnson as the top article that's been written for the Daily Moment of Science, and they were about abortion and alpha males, which is not dissuading me from talking about contentious topic. Yes, Jamila's in the car. She's running around hunting for cleats. You said
for cleats in particular, yes.
Football cleats for the boy, and you said the reception is really good right now.
It is fabulous. This is better than what I get plugged in at home.
You said rich neighborhood. You said
very rich neighborhood. Yes. Median
DC.
House price 1.8. Yeah, where I'm at.
Oh my God.
Median.
DC, man. DC. Yeah. Oh man. DC is
fabulous.
I mean. God,
talk about beat face.
The makeup just kind of worked out. Some days the makeup works out, some days it does not. It's yesterday I did I say brief, but it was an hour long. But I did a quick little patron, an unplanned little patron only live stream, and I looked like hell. I put as much effort into my makeup, and I'm looking at myself going, my face looks chubby. It doesn't look. I don't have cheekbones. And today I'm like, oh, look at me, I am glowing. I have. It depends on the day, depends on the lighting, but today I look so much more wide-eyed and bushy-tailed and all that good stuff. Hey Adrian, I wish I could send you a free it's waving to the people I know out there. But I want to show you guys something I've been up to really quickly, because look, a bunch of you guys have sent me resin or epoxy resin. You sent me molds for this, so I want to send you what or I want to send. Well, I mean, if you send me a mold or it's something from my Amazon wish list, and also send things to Jamila. The links are below for our wish list. Send us things. I mean, sign up for Patreon, but also send us things. But look, I'm just gonna. I made my mommy a chessboard. Look at that. It's a galaxy chessboard. I made this. I'm super fucking proud of myself. I made a chessboard. That's a thing I can do now. I'm very proud of this. Look at that.
That's gorgeous.
Look at that. I'm super proud. But anyways, made that and also made this cute little box. It's a little box thing. Adorable little box thing. And this is what I'm doing for, here's the thing. There was a point to this, and I think I talked about this in a previous live stream. I'm making dominoes too, little galaxy dominoes. Yes. Aren't those adorable? And the ones I'm most proud of so far. Now I have my cousin. Now I found my cousins on my father's side of the family via Ancestry, right? Took spit into a tube, found one of my cousins who was following Sci-Vape. I was the first cousin I reached out to was somebody who I'm going through profiles on Facebook, and I'm like, oh, this one follows me. They'll think I'm a creep, but at least they know who I am. But we've gotten to be close, and she my cousin Amanda has just the cutest little girl who's she's 7 and she's a gothy little 7-year-old, and I'm like, what colors does she like? And she's she's really into purple, pink, and black. And I had these stickers that are skulls and these transparent stickers that are skulls and bones and hearts, and I'm like, would she like these stickers put into dominoes? So I don't know if you can see this, but there's little heart stickers and and when I say heart, I mean anatomically correct, and skulls, and they're just it's hard to see on the screen, but they're little, for my little 7-year-old goth chick cousin, they're adorable little dominoes that I'm making. And a fly flew into one of them, and I was like, I'm gonna leave that in there. I'm Jurassic Parking that fly's ass, and it's staying there forever. So that's so and she was like, oh, she's gonna love it. So also I'm making speaking of Jurassic Park, tiny little dinosaurs and whatnot. So yeah, making all sorts of stuff, and I'm super proud of this box. It's cute. Now the problem is I'm still new to working with resin, so it doesn't, if you could see this in person, you would see how not professional it looks. Like there are air bubbles, and that's something like people who are actually good at this, like their resin doesn't have bubbles in it, or it has far less. So I'm working on getting better at it. Like when people are like, so are you opening an Etsy store? I'm like, no, I am not opening. No, that takes being organized. And my level of organization is I wake up, I go out and pour some resin for a few hours, get the creative, like the need to do a thing. I do have a torch. I actually instead I'm using so quick note, if you use a torch, and torches are great, unlimited, like in certain things, but if you're using silicone molds, as I found out from what happened to this fucking chessboard, a torch will make the resin bond to the silicone mold, and you're gonna have to scrape the fucking I had to scrape this out, and I had to buy a new chessboard mold. That's a thing that I had to do. So torches are really, oh yeah, they're that, and that's what I knew like right away. I'm like, I'm going to fuck up a bunch of pieces. I do have I have a mini Connect 4 set that I could make. Like a little bit of, I'm making game. So what I'm doing with this, and I think I said this I might have said in a previous live stream. I don't know if I said it in a stream or to the patrons over in Discord. But what I'm doing, because my brother had a rock and shell collection. And it's, look, I could not throw out the rocks and shells that my brother had collected from Nova Scotia, from Italy, from everywhere he lived over the years. But also, I did not want to keep them forever. Like I brought back 20 pounds of rocks and shells, and I'm like, I'm not, like, my brother was a pack rat. I am like, I had hoarder aversion therapy when I moved into this place. Like I even threw out, not threw out, I donated the books to the library just so that nobody comes for me. But like, my brother was as his wife even phrased it, he was a magpie. He hoarded, like we found things of sand that we have no idea where they came from. I only kept the sand that I could recognize. But I'm like, what do I do with this? So my plan is, to eventually take, all this shit, like after I'm good enough at this that I don't think I'll fuck up the pieces. So I'm doing a lot of practice and fucking up some things, and eventually taking the sand and shells and rocks and putting them into resin pieces. Cause like what's going to be cuter than a little beach scene, that's got little resin and little rocks and shells in them. Cause you can make those gorgeous, like water scenes with them. That the first time I tried doing that with a blowtorch, I set the resin on fire. That's a thing you can do.
Song, set fire to the resin.
Set resin on fire. Yeah, that's gonna be my that'll be my new anthem. Set resin on fire. Going with it. It was catchy. But again, I'll show this off till the end. I could never make another decent piece in my life, and I'm gonna be like, look at this, because I made it. But the cool
board is gorgeous.
It's the cool.
Now makes me want to play chess right now.
I'm right, and it's funny. I had a couple of pieces have like little cosmetic defects. There are 2 pawns that the heads just popped right off because there were such big air bubbles. And like I said, there were problems with them. Like it's the thing about the Galaxy effect is it's fairly easy to make. Like the things that are actually difficult to do with resin are getting the resin perfectly clear with no air bubbles and getting little tiny things exactly where you want in a piece. The Galaxy effect is just swirling colors. Like it's just taking a bunch of colors and pouring them and doing, taking a chopstick and going psh, 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 through them, adding a bunch of chunky glitter. Like it's easy. Like that is, like, from what I keep watching, fairly easy compared to like my friends that like have Etsy shops for this. Like they're taking tiny little things with tweezers and placing them exactly in the corners of where I'm like, I can't do that. That takes knowing what you're doing and like fucking pressure cookers and vacuum things to like get all the air, but like they're actually doing this well. I'm like, I just want to make some presents for people. So, but yeah, an Etsy shop is not coming. Not anytime soon that I could think of.
Yeah, I bought all this yarn because I decided that I was going to arm knit chunky blankets.
Oh,
And
how'd that go?
well, people keep calling me and making me do things like, where's my this, where's my that, you owe us this story, go report it. So I got to take the yarn off my arm, and then I come back and I forget, and I'm like, what the
Yeah.
hell is this? And then I just undo, like,
It's-
like,
Arm knitting sounds like a thing that's hard to, like, you have, like, it's that seems like a thing that you can't put down very easily.
Exactly. So if you have a cat, a child, a husband who can't find anything without you coming to physically show them, no, look here, not look there. Yeah,
You have to keep that thing on your arm until it's done. So you either get short blankets or no blankets, or you need a lot of time to yourself.
Exactly. So I didn't get into this one that I applied to, but I have decided that I'm going to apply for writing residency, because frankly, a room of her own is a theme that we've been dealing with for 100 years plus. And
Yeah.
I figure, the truth of the matter is, I will be so much more productive if it's just me and my arm knitting and
Yep.
my laptop. So that's kind of what I'm working on. That's what I'm working
Yeah.
on. You
I like
know,
it. I like it a
it
lot.
just can I totally hijack this and brag for
You
a
can.
second?
Hey! I just took out a, like, this is a science thing, and I just took out a fucking piece of plastic that I invented. So create. You do the hijack all you want.
We're going to get back to the talk of decor, because that's where this is going. We're definitely
I
going
like
to come
it.
back to decor. But
I'm just gonna sip this and hit a joint. I mean, hit a
so
vape.
I just have to brag about my kid for a second, because
As you should.
I
just he's been doing some cool stuff.
So long story short, and I can't get into the like most awesome part of it because there's an NDA involved, but so my kid,
because of the company that shall not be named.
The company that shall not be named.
Gotcha. Making sure.
Not be named.
I was making sure I should keep my mouth. Gotcha. All right.
Yes. But one day, my child is the youngest intern on an MIT project in history.
I did not realize. Wow.
Yeah, his team. He's got a teammate who's one day older than he is, and they are the two youngest by a few years. But they are the two youngest ever. They're 8th grade 13-year-olds who are engineering interns.
You held on to that pregnancy for one more day just to make sure.
Well, his
stay in there.
Had a C-section, and the doctors were trying to convince me to have a C-section, and I said, no. We know kiddo is fine. We're going to let kiddo take his sweet old time. No. So if I had done what the doctors wanted, he'd be tied for youngest intern ever. But you know,
Dave Chambers just said,
of mind to say, I don't.
Jamila is temporarily making her car her she shed.
It's
I like
so
it.
True.
It's the she shed.
True. There's no cat climbing on me. There's no husband
It's
asking me about
no
where
murder.
stuff is.
No murder demon.
But murdered. Oh man, he's so funny. Part of my identity my whole life has been, hi, I'm Jamila, and I hate cats. But now it's like, you know,
you've been melted.
I got
melted.
The little red murder demon who brings me such joy, and he's awesome. And you know, I'm like, wow, this must be what it's like when, you know, your daughter brings home a black dude if you went to college with me.
Oh my god!
I spent my whole life hating y'all. Never mind that good. I'll just sit here. We like you.
Oh Jesus!
So anyway, that's a little too close to home.
I love that you made that joke because that's just the layers there, the fucking layers. Yes, sorry, carry on.
Nothing is sacred. Nothing is sacred. Yes. My kid, my precious little, you know, what the hell, the boy, he got to go and be part of this team that went to this competition, that's part of Elon Musk's Hyperloop thing. All these teams, there were 40 teams around the world that came to figure out how do we tunnel effectively in a green way that's fast. So it's like modern day John Henrying sort of, but nobody died because, of course, you usually kill
Labor
off the black
rights.
character, and it was like my kid and a few others. Anyway, nobody died. That's great. We don't know how. They were in the desert in Vegas and 110-degree heat, no cover. Uh, figuring out how to
Yikes.
tunnel, and
Whew.
the team that my kid was on got disqualified for what I would argue is a bullshit reason. I'm not saying
Oh,
political, but I am saying there was a
bullshit
rule
reason.
change that happened the day of the competition
Oh.
that only
Oh.
affected the team my kid was on. Farthest at 35% power when all the other teams were at 100% power, and they did not drill far, they did not drill fast, and those are the teams that worked. So
Mm.
I bring
Mm.
up my mama pride because there were a few things that my kid said, and it got back to me by it came to me directly from the lead on the team, who said, we've been working on this for a couple years, and your kid in 10 minutes looked at something and made a suggestion that we implemented that made this better. He instantly saw what we did not over the
I'm
time
just
we've been working on this.
I'm just saying, if there are little engineering things or toys or gadgets or gizmos that would help the boy that you would like on Amazon, you could throw that onto your wish list.
I should
And
probably do that.
yeah, like, I mean,
Yeah.
specifically for because like it's stuff for the education, stuff that's going to help, stuff that he's really into. Our folks are all about, supporting that kind of stuff. I mean, they've sent me some crazy resin stuff. They will send stuff for the boy,
Yes,
especially because he's such an entertaining young man. He's
he
entertaining,
really
enterprising,
is.
and extraordinarily intelligent too. I mean, takes after
He
mom.
is,
So
and to be honest, everybody's kid is smart and incredible and amazing. And one of the reasons why I don't know if I got it or not, but I've applied to be one of the parent advisors for DC charter schools. My kid's in a charter. I am
mm,
anti-charter. I think they're horrible, and they contribute to the brain drain from the
yeah,
public schools.
yeah.
They take money from the public schools. They kick the kids out who can't perform, thus adding
Yeah.
to the drain at the public schools.
And it's like they're
They
just
don't have
such
to
a
be transparent. Yeah,
what are they? How big of a part of the system are they in DC?
they're between 40 to 50%. Um,
Really?
they're
Shit.
huge here. They don't have to disclose where their money is coming from, where their money is going. They could be. eh, This did not happen. This did not happen.
Oh,
Hypothetically, if I started a charter
hypothetical.
school and said, I'm going to give every penny to defending the January 6th treasonists, I could do that. And I would not have to let anybody in the school know that I, as the owner of the charter, was giving money to defend the January 6th
Uh,
treasonists.
I had
That didn't happen. None of the charters are doing that.
yeah,
I'm just pointing out the way
that's the
the
kind
laws
of shit
are.
that yeah, there's
And
no
I'm deeply
disclosure
against
on
that.
it.
But I have, you know what? I have a very smart kid, and we're trying to educate him in Washington D.C. And
Yeah.
in the 80-year history of integrated schools in DC, they really haven't done very well with little black boys, particularly smart ones.
Yeah.
There are a lot of kids who go to Sidwell Friend programs to put your kids into private and religious schools. I'm I found a charter that's a science and math charter where all the kids are eggheads and
Yes.
artists
You
like
got
I was as a child. I'm
you got super
self-identified.
fortunate. Yeah.
Yeah, and so
Yeah.
I'm happy about that, but I recognize it makes
Yeah.
me a huge hypocrite. It makes me the world's biggest
Yeah. Like, I
hypocrite.
mean,
So
here's the
I'm
thing. It's
trying to get
not
on the board.
like I don't think it's ever hypocritical to try to do good by your child. While you're also trying to solve like I don't think charter schools the concept of a charter school is not a problem, but the way the system works is the problem. So like, hey, having choice, like your kid isn't doing well in the traditional system because they need something more geared towards their interest. Like, hey, they're a, they don't, like courses in history aren't going to do much for them, but they're going to do well if you give them 6 hours a day of science. There's a better thing for them. Like that's the way this should work in a perfect system, but without oversight, without having to do like, that's the problem with it. So like you're using the system the way it's intended to be used. You have a child that has academic gifts that need to be met, and they're being met by this system. So you're using it well. And then like here's the thing: there are parents that are just being screwed by it. There are parents that are sending the kids to public school that aren't getting the funding because funding is going to these charter schools that are complete bullshit. And as you said, like there's nowhere that's sending it to the January 6th riots, but conceptually, that's a thing that can happen. Like
Right.
I lived in an in-law studio back when I lived in Massachusetts, and the people who owned the house, they sent their kids to a charter school. While I lived there, the school shut down midway through the year because of such financial bullshit that was happening. The kids had to find a new school partway through the year. Like that doesn't happen with public
that
schools.
that's not terribly, I mean, it's not
It's
usual,
not
but it's
uncommon.
not unheard of.
Yeah,
Um,
like the
it,
fact
it's
yeah.
it's really horrific in a lot of ways because the oversight cannot possibly solve for all of the stuff that comes up. Here in
Yeah.
DC, there is statistically no difference. We have to take my kids' charter school out because they, we track only the highest achievers into that school.
Yeah.
We have to throw them out because they'll skew the test scores otherwise. But if you
Yeah.
look at every other charter school and every other public school in Washington, D.C., there's statistically no difference in the test scores on standardized tests. My kid's charter is distinct. My kid, like the least performing at my kid's school are still above DC state average. So, we are known as being the egg, and that's kind
Yeah.
of who we attract. I want to be on the parent advisement board because I have been screaming this for a very long time. I've said this, 10 years ago in front of our city council and our mayor at the time. I said, we talk about how much we love Neil deGrasse Tyson, and we had a campaign in DC where we were talking about women in science, and Mae Jemison, the black woman who was the first black
Yeah.
woman in
Shoot.
space, was
Yeah.
a face of the campaign. And I said, we talk about these people. I said, but the thing is, you don't think that every little black kid could grow up to be
Quick
the
little
next Neil or the next Matt.
Simon
You know,
has entered the chat. Sorry, just had to.
hey Simon,
So
love you.
Mom is visiting Cy Cousins. So hello, Rod and Olivia. Just wanted I have
Sci
my
family.
my cousins are in their late 80s, early 90s, I believe, Ron and Olivia. And if you see pictures of them, you won't believe me. Like somehow, like I didn't realize. I say this, I say this jokingly. I didn't realize I had black family. They don't look like they're out of their 70s. Like I don't know how
Hey.
the aging happened. I'm just saying
Okay,
they've
well,
aged
one thing,
they've
melanin is
aged far too
protected
well.
against the sun.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
melanin is protected against the sun, so there's that. But also, um, in one of those blessing and curse kind of things,
Yeah.
I have a skin disorder. Well, I mean, it's a disorder. It's a scarring
Oh,
disorder.
oh,
I'm prone to
keloids.
keloids. Right.
Yeah.
There's that, but I also have this thing where I produce way
Daddy.
too much collagen, and it causes hypertrophic scarring. I don't know if you can see. Wait, hold on. Let me see. So there's a bubble on my wrist. I don't know if you can see it really well.
A little bit. I can
Yeah.
kind of see it. I think
So
I
if
think I
my
see what you're
skin
referring
breaks,
to.
if at any point my skin breaks, the scar rises. It doesn't always keloid. Keloid is the
Gotcha.
overgrowth
Yeah,
of
it's
tissue,
I
but it will
have a friend
puff,
who's got that.
and sometimes it'll retract later or whatever. But
Yeah.
what that is that I make so much collagen, which is the stuff that you have to pay for to make you look young.
Yeah.
Um, and it
Preach.
causes scarring that happens. But
Oh
my
man.
mom, who's approaching 80, most people think she's middle 50s, maybe 60. um
Oh my
I've
God.
got I've got a
Ooh.
I've got an older sister who's 50. She's a university administrator,
People
and
think she's
if she
30,
walks, yeah, well,
or
not even if she
people think
walks
she's a student.
alongside her, they think she's a student.
Yep.
She gets
Yep.
mistaken for a student all the
Oh
time
my
by the
God.
parents who she's there to, you know,
Wow.
discuss whatever with.
It's
Um,
wow.
and it's cool. I mean,
Oh,
I until I was 31, I straight up looked like a teenager. I got
I wouldn't be
harassed by
surprised at all.
truant officers in DC when I'm like
Wow.
standing there waiting for a taxi or something. I'm like, honey,
Oh
no, I'm
man.
actually an adult on working here. I'm not like,
Oh,
I don't know who you think I am, but I'm not the kid you're looking for. I am not the
it's
child you're looking.
it's funny when I was young, and because of, like, I was chubby, like, and it's that thing where, like, when you're bigger, I don't know if it's different, like, when you're white or black, but, like, when you're, like, kind of a chubby white girl, like, it's hard to tell how old you are, and, like, it made my face look older. And, like, I always looked old for my age when I was, like, a teenager. Like, when I was 13, I looked like 15, 16. Like, when I was, 15, 16, I could pass for early 20s, like, which, you like that when you're a teenager. When you get to your mid 20s and people are like, oh, are you early 30s? You're like, so I started losing weight, and suddenly I looked young for my age, which was the first time that
Mhm.
it ever fucking happened, which was, like, great, because it's like, oh, this is what I want to start looking young for my age. So now, first time in my life, I realized, oh, I do have a young face as long as I stay below a certain weight. But, like, now the only way I can maintain a young face, lots of chemical peels. Lots of chemical peels. Let's make the
Chemical
collagen
pills
show
are
back
good.
up. It's
Absolutely,
I
yes.
chemical peeled my chest, and it just, oh yeah, I went nuts because, okay, so fun story from the it's like, if you can do your own chemical peel, my God, it's the youth that you will give yourself. So I was on the Canadian version of The View once. It's But they don't call you back for these things. If you're
Mm.
at my level of fame, they do not. My level of fame is low. But I was on to promote, because I was doing a PR thing with the grain farmers of Ontario, and Lauren Hawley, ex-wife of
Mm.
Jim Carrey, she was one of the hosts at the time. And here's the thing: people, like, famous people with, like, more, like, I'm fame-ish, like, I'm on a show on the Weather Channel, but nobody fucking knows that. Like I said, fame-ish. But Lauren Hawley was on that day, and, like, her face glowed. Like, all the women who were on that show looked amazing. Their hair was, like, done with the long curls, and their makeup, they were beautiful. They were fantastic, great hosts. Anyways, and Lauren Hawley was there, and of course she glowed. She had the beautiful red hair. Anyways, her makeup and her face from here on up was 38. From here on down was 55. And I'm like, oh shit, that's something I gotta look out for when I get older. And please don't send Lauren Holly hate mail. Like, I'm just saying, like, or she said a bad thing. Like, no, it's just a thing that happens with age, like, and how we take care of ourselves and where we put the Botox. We
Mhm.
concentrate on the face and we forget about that. So I'm like, when I started doing chemical peels at home, I'm like, oh, I can do this on the rest of me, and got my chest, and I realized how much younger it looks from getting rid of all the sunspots, for me not using sunscreen on my lily white skin. So, yeah, if you learn how to do a
Yeah.
TCA peel, you can take years off your chest.
Oh.
That's
Yeah,
a
I'm gonna I think
I can talk you
I
through that
think
if
I
you'd
might
like.
try.
If you, I
Okay.
can talk you. I'll talk. I'm just saying. I want to tell the folks out there. Whenever someone's like, the only a certified esthetician can do this, that's a lie.
Have you
There's
met
no.
certified estheticians?
I'm a chemist. I know more about this than a certified esthetician. Like, I have a friend who was a certified. Or I don't know if she still has her. Anyways, is slash was a certified esthetician, and she's like, normally I'd tell people no, but you're a chemist, so go for it. And it's like, I watched a zillion videos on YouTube. I watched videos of things that went wrong too, and then, like, that's my big thing, is like, show me how this can go wrong. I want to know all the things. I'll watch videos for months. I'll watch professionals. I'll watch amateurs, and, like, that's how I learned how to cut my hair at home during the pandemic. And when I finally got a haircut, they were like, "Oh, have you been going to a hairdresser during the pandemic?" They didn't realize I'd been cutting my own. So you can learn to do some of these things at home, but, like, the thing with the chemical peel is, like I'm comfortable doing it because again, chemists, ask yourself how comfortable you are putting something on your face that's gonna fucking burn like hell. Because it will burn. Like I put a numbing cream on first, and so like there are estheticians that are like, "Don't do that. You won't know how much it burns." Oh no, you will. The first layer doesn't burn. The next one starts to tingle. The third one, you're like, what hell have I brought on myself? Why? Why did I do this? But yeah, it's been like, it's taken years of sunspots and acne stuff and scratching marks and like so many moles off my chest. It's been amazing. So yeah,
Yes,
TCA
yes.
peels, and you can get the stuff for thousands of dollars worth of peels for $30 on eBay. It's
Wow. Well,
it pains me to know how cheap it is. Like just be
wow.
not being scared to put the product on you is the whole key. Anyways, that was a random aside. Yeah, if you're curious and you're like, my skin is a thing that's bothering me, it'll brighten up, it'll get rid of divots, and uh it'll get fine, it'll get reduce fine lines, that kind of stuff. Not that I'm saying you have that, Jamila. It's I
No,
because you're it's I'm saying to
the
the audience that's listening, like whatever
oh
it's I'm
yes,
saying
we all.
I'm saying I had that, and I'm amazed at the difference it made. So I still have to
Well,
Botox this shit out of my forehead.
you know, I love to remind people that most little black girls who do their hair at home are materials engineers, and a lot of them have to learn how to be chemists because you know
Right?
figuring out which product works
We'll
with what
talk
other
about it,
product.
Akiko. You'll have to Akiko. We'll talk about it, but you'll have to sign a waiver if you come over and get a chemical peel. Akiko lives a few miles away from me, and I'm like, and I've said, yeah, come over. You don't seem like you'll kill me in my sleep if you come over. But it's like we'll have to discuss it about a chemical peel, like it's like though it's but we'll talk about it. So
Yeah,
well,
I'm
it can be
starting to get
discussed,
on planes again, so.
right? I'm flying to visit my mom in I'm flying out there in a week. I'll be on the East Coast in a week, but I'm a few hours too far north of you.
Ah,
And like if
ah,
you
well,
I'm like maybe I'll talk mom into like we could like it's today you're in oh no you're too far south, like I'm gonna be in New
yeah,
Hampshire and you're
I'm
in
like a
DC.
14-hour drive
Yeah, like we
in
could
the
both drive to
best of.
yeah, like if we both drove to New Jersey, it would be a shitty drive for both of us for like an hour to hang out.
Yes.
I used to live in New Jersey, so I know like what it's and I when I lived there, like I loved I was so surprised by this that I loved living in New Jersey. Like I and it was
Well, Montclair is beautiful.
mm,
You walk
I
around Montclair and go, "Oh, the Garden State. I see
oh
why."
no.
You know.
I lived in Ventnor, which is on the same island. There are like three towns on the same island as Atlantic City, and I lived in Ventnor. Tiny little like you couldn't tell where Ventnor really ended and Atlantic City began. It was just I wanted to live on the like I lived just a few blocks back from the boardwalk.
Oh
And
wow.
for the winter, it was like $700 a month for a 2 bedroom, fully furnished apartment. And then summertime came and it went up by over double that. So I needed to get
Wow.
a roommate for summer. And I'm actually still friends with my roommate. Like that's one of, it's funny. Whenever I've had a roommate that I met just for being a roommate, like I stayed friends with them for years. So I'm still like, whenever I'm in New Jersey for work, I hang out with my old roommate, Melissa. But yeah, I thought New Jersey was going to suck. And there were things about it that were bad. But like the location, like being right near, like if I went to the casinos sometimes, and I still drank at that point in my life, and I went there with friends to go do nightlife. Um, but like I liked that I was fairly broke at that point in my life. I did not get paid well for my government job, so I would go to the library to use the internet in the afternoon. I didn't even have internet at home. I would go home and I would just write all day. Like at that, I wrote a really terrible novel when I was 25 that no one should ever read. But it was good practice to write. But I would go home, watch movies on this giant screen TV that came with the apartment. And like I could go on the weekends, I could drive down to visit friends in DC or South Carolina. And then drive back. Like it was nice that it was a nice location to be able to visit mom for a weekend or visit friends south for a weekend. And that was part of what I dug about it. And it wasn't too freezing for the winter. So all sorts of nice stuff. It's
Yeah, yeah.
surprisingly
That
nice. So I didn't expect that.
I've only been a couple times to Atlantic City. I'm
Go to
not a
Vegas instead.
gambler because I got buried in Vegas and learned to count cards and went to the blackjack table and I took $20 of blackjacks up to $800 and some drunk idiot hit on an 18 and I couldn't believe it. I was like, what are you, and a fucking three came up. I and I completely, like, everything in my mind left. I could not believe this had happened. I couldn't figure out what I was supposed to do. I couldn't believe that this idiot had just hit on an 18 and got, and I wound up losing money I brought with me
Oof.
to gamble with, which
It's
was
I
$20, but I was up to 800. I was up to 800.
Oh, it
And,
hurts. It
and
hurts, doesn't it?
and I just, like, I angry like that. I can't. Even now, this is 16 years ago, and
So
I'm still I'm
my
still
so
furious
so
about it.
oh man. So my money gambled once. Pardon me, in Vegas. I didn't gamble. So I gambled in Atlantic City, but I never gambled in Vegas. Like I just my plan was go to the nickel slots, put in a 20, have fun with it. And if I win anything big, I'll take it. And if I gamble it away, I gamble it away. And I gambled it away. And that's all I ever gambled in a casino. But when I went to Vegas with a friend of mine who'd never been, she was from Denmark. She wanted to go to the blackjack table and just play one hand. And we got down there and she realized she'd left her wallet upstairs. So I, hit the ATM, hand her a 20. And she wins. She hits blackjack on the first fucking go. And she's like, I'm quitting while I'm ahead. And that was the only time my money ever gambled. I'm like, all right, my money
Wow.
is going out on top. We're done. I'm not like, I played disco bingo one night with a bunch of friends. I barely consider bingo gambling. I feel that's a social thing with like, we played, I think we paid like $30 to just, like it was more like, we're playing our cards and then we're getting up and dancing at like 4 a.m. when we were all either high or drunk to do something in Vegas after watching what was it, the Gypsy Kings. It was an interesting night. So I feel like it was more like something to do that. No, it was not at the AVN Awards that this happened. Different group of friends. This was God. Vegas, look, weird things like, oh God, the weekend of the AVN
The event
Awards,
that you
like
usually do in a Catholic church.
yeah, that's a good point. It can't be too salacious if the Catholic wait. That's whew. No, the Catholics do some salacious shit. Speaking of the Catholics and salacious shit, I wrote a thing about
Yeah.
abortion that went a little viral. Oops. People were that was interesting. I didn't mean to.
Oh my God.
I did not expect, like, I should have known, but I
Yes.
also did not expect that to, like, look, this is not dissuading me from writing about contentious political topics that happen to touch upon science. Like I'm just going to do this more now. Oops. But like the people, like all the reactions to all the angry reactions to it were like, just tell me this. Is a zygote alive? I'm like, I don't know. You can put a zygote in a freezer for 30 years. You can do that to a frozen pizza too. Is a frozen pizza alive? And I get it. That is a specious argument. That is a dumbass argument. But so is the question. So is the question of, is a zygote alive? I'm like, that has nothing to do with why people get abortions. Like you were not acknowledging the reality of what, and like that's the problem, is that there are two arguments happening here that are talking right past each other. And like my article went into like the history of the of the pro-life movement and the fact that there wasn't a pro-life movement until like the late 60s, early 70s. It was all kind of an invention to get the far right, the right to lifers, that whole conglomeration, the new right, to be like, hey, we're on the same team now. We're all going to come together no matter what because we want the babies. We got to make the babies happen. And that's like the history of it is so sordid. Like they even got Norma McCorvey, the woman who was Jane Roe, to lie and say she'd become pro-life, and she wasn't. She wasn't. Deathbed confession from her that it was all lie. And of all people, Ronald fucking Reagan signed the most liberal abortion law in the country before he was like, "Oh no, I want to run for president, so this was a bad idea." Like, it's the history of abortion laws in this country are insane. They don't make any sense. There's no there's no consistency to how the people who say that they're pro-life actually approach this. And people who are like, I want the babies to live. It's like, all right, so what are you doing to help the mothers? What are you doing? Like, all you want is for people to birth children. There's no help after that. There's no, no funding for schools, no funding for mothers, no funding for it's you. All you want is for people to not fuck for fun, I think is the punchline here. Like, if the same people who are against abortion are also against birth control, and that's it's like I said, they're against fucking for fun, which seems to say they're just against human nature. Like, it's there was I forget which comedian said this, so I want to make sure be clear. I did not say this originally. I'm grabbing this from another comic. I think it was Adam something. The phrase was, the Catholic Church, if it feels good, stop. And it's just that seems to be where the attitude for abortion comes from. Just, you're doing a bad, you touched the naughty button, so you need to be punished with a baby, which, using a baby as a punishment sounds like it'll work out well for the kid. I've gone on a ramble. Shamila, if you want to ramble back at me, I'm open for it. I'm not sure if I've lost you over there. Shamila? All right, I'm going to keep rambling then. Anyway, going to go through some comments. Can we microwave the zygote and eat it? I think microwaving even a zygote and eating it, with that, I'm not sure if that's cannibalism or an omelet. Like, if you can't tell if the zygote is a I did lose Jamila. I'm very sad about this. She'll be back. She'll definitely be back. So, can we microwave a zygote and eat it? Like, it's if you can't tell if the zygote is an elephant zygote or fish zygote, because it's that, like, and that's the thing. At that point, at the stage where they're trying to outlaw abortion, that zygote is so zygoty that you can't even look at it and go, I know for sure this is a human. Yeah, you'd have to do some DNA testing to, yeah, it's not, doesn't work. Let's see. I loved all 10 death threats from people who claimed. I didn't see the death threats. Man, like, I want to go back to that and find the death threats so I can report them and get their accounts banned, because that'll be fun. But let's see. I acknowledge the realities of why people sometimes seek abortion. I don't understand why some far left PCers insist that the zygote embryo fetus in a human uterus is not a human and are not a living entity. I think I think what I want to impart to you is that it's not that people are saying it's not it's people aren't saying that this organism is not a human, as in it's not a member of the human species. What they're saying is it's not capable of living without the mother. It's not a separate entity. Like, while it's in a state where it's completely dependent on something else to survive, it's indistinct biologically from a parasite. And I'm not saying that to be cold, because I know that, and I'm saying this as someone who's, like, right now I'm super sensitive to the whole, life, death, parent losing a child thing, because, my brother died 6 weeks ago. And today is his wedding anniversary. And there's so much baggage with that I'm like, it's a sad day. Like, it's today is supposed to be a day that I'm thinking about the fact that he had a lesbian. It's just, my brother's trans, and when he married his wife, they were still, he hadn't transitioned yet. It's he it's they had, it was still, sorry for going off on this. I'll go back to this in a second. Back to the 6 week thing and the zygote thing. Gay marriage wasn't legal across the country. They came to New Hampshire. They were living in Kansas, came to New Hampshire. to have a big, and it's International Talk Like a Pirate Day today, which has waned in popularity, and I'm very disappointed in all of you. But they had a big gay pirate themed wedding, and it was just so much fun. And when I say big, I mean it was relatively small. They had, between travel and everything, the whole wedding I believe cost like under $5,000, which I'm like, they just well fucking done. Like they rented one of the nicer little places that was local to mom. They did like their first dance was to the Rainbow Connection, the version that Kermit the Frog sang, because they're just fucking rock stars. Ooh, we've got a Jamila back again. There we go. So
I apologize. That was
come on,
my fault.
let
My
me tap
phone.
you in. I'm tapping you in. I'm trying to. Why aren't you? God damn it. There we go. All right. This should be working now. It's all right. Hi, I can see you now.
Yay!
Yay! All right,
Okay.
I kept trying to tap the button to get you in. I was going off. So today's my brother's wedding anniversary, so I was quickly chit chatting about that. They had a. I'm going to quickly repeat this back for you. The shorter version. They had a. It's International Talk Like a Pirate Day today. And that was like a much bigger thing back in like 2008 when they got married. And they they had my brother hadn't transitioned yet, so they were living in Kansas at the time, and Kansas was not like gay marriage was not legal nationwide. They flew to New Hampshire where we lived, or my mom and I lived, and where we grew up, and had a big old gay pirate themed wedding, and it was just so delightful and fun. And their first date had been at Mike's Pastry in Boston, where the cannoli reigns king. And instead of a wedding cake, they had a cannoli chop, and they bought like a butcher knife, and they, had both their hands on the thing and chopped. And my God, that thing flew cleanly in half. And it was just this perfect moment. But they had just such a delightful, fun wedding. And I gave the toast, and it was just, I'm just saying, look, it's the wedding was the relationship obviously was perfect because of my toast. Nothing else mattered. No.
Exactly.
I also hooked up with my new cousin-in-law. His name was Peter. It was delightful. Moving on. But these things happen. But no, it's Star Starling says she loves the shirt. I do too.
Oh,
It is delightful. I like it.
I'm trying to learn fashion because I don't know who I am anymore. We're going to talk about decor in a moment. During the pandemic, I started watching this one particular DIYer. I don't know how to say her name. It's like UW or why I don't know. But she's a really sweet voiced African woman who makes amazing stuff out of cardboard. And she's if you just put the concrete inside of the cardboard, then you can stack them up, and here you have an entire armoire from Fruit Loops boxes, and she's so great. And I would watch her, and then and my husband, and I'm telling my husband, like, oh my God, if we could make a chaise lounge out of Amazon boxes, this is great.
Oh my God.
Like, if you use wood, it'll last forever. Wood.
Right.
Wood would work, wouldn't it? It's called wood.
I went through a stage for 5 minutes where and this was just so elder millennial of me, where I kept seeing all these cute palette things created on Pinterest, and oh yeah, I was sure I was going to become the next palette furniture creator. I did not.
Made me do though is now I'm going to go back to the Lego movie where Emmett starts to see everything as the blueprint of how it's put together. And now I go and I look online and I'm like, wait a minute,
see you later, Amanda.
Bye,
Amanda. Amanda's one. We don't have favorites, but we have favorites, and Amanda's one of them.
Oh yeah.
I
love everybody. I'm just a profligate side babe fan hoe.
I'm just saying, I know we know people from hanging out in over in Discord a lot, and I know I try to keep up with my patrons, so we know Amanda, we love our Adrian, we love Akiko, we love Mento. These are I'm just saying, these people sent me so much candy through the course of lockdown that, like, I would be a size 4 if it wasn't for them. So, God damn you, and thank you so much. So, just
So, yeah,
so much.
I know that feeling. I just, I decided I was going to start wood staining and
Mm.
buying stuff at the dollar store and turning it into dupes from West Elm and whatever. But uh, that didn't happen. However, I can see how stuff is made now, and
Right? It's nice.
makes I'm like, I'm not spending $800 on that finial. I'll just,
Yep.
buy some, pumpkin lanterns and decoupage them myself. Oh God, sorry, that's my fault. That's
Oh,
my fault. That,
I can make cute little boxes now. I can make bigger boxes with hinges on them too. I can make stuff.
what I don't know how to do is shrink a head though, because when I was a little child in the 70s, so did they have
It's all
shrunk heads.
it's got
And
to come
like
back to the shrunken head eventually.
head. And I'm like, that would be so awesome, especially since Beetlejuice is one of my favorite movies. Tim Burton, who any friend of Pee Wee Herman's a friend of mine.
Yes.
So I love Pee Wee Herman. Which made me love Tim Burton, which made me then, of course, Beetlejuice was an awesome movie. So we
Yes.
we have to love this, and I just feel like my life would be better if I could add shrunken heads to my decor because it, you know, I'm not quite goth
It's
and I'm not quite boho, but I do like the fact that some of the '70s stuff is coming back a little bit. You're seeing that fringe that
yeah.
most of us at my age got tangled in and almost died before the safety standards had to be put into effect.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm just like, I think a head would go really well on my headboard. Why is it called a headboard if there are no heads on it? I should have
Right.
heads on my headboard. So I want to learn how to shrink some heads,
So
but
how where do we, if any of you guys know how we legally acquire a head to shrink, and then how to shrink a head in a proper and respectful way.
well, I
Like,
don't know.
or if there's no respectful way, just a proper way.
just
Or if there's no
you know,
or if there's no proper way, we'll do it improperly. We just need to
yeah.
know.
Just I think it would be interesting, and I think it'd be fun.
It's
And if boho chic is a thing, I don't know why cannibal chic isn't a thing. It used to be. It used to be, and I think we should bring it back. And I would totally love to,
you know,
see if we
I
can January 6th trader heads
you know
um, on
You know,
Monday.
I know more than one person with human skulls. Like, and the funny thing about having a real human skull, it always comes in condition used. Just 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 had to try. You are welcome.
I love you. God, that's hilarious. So yeah,
Mm.
I just so I don't know, and one of the people shrinks heads in the
Dave
way.
Chambers, I sense a
But
grave robbing field trip coming up. I'm
I mean,
just
I wonder, does this make me a sociopath or just like somebody who believes in freedom and justice so much that I'm willing to have the reminders of the fact that our democracy works on my headboard?
I I think you're a curious soul, Jamila, and you just it's just it like, look, where do you get a good shrunken head these days? Why are they taking this type of culture away from us? I'm just saying, I'm sure my swamp rat Cajun ancestors were doing this shit down in the bayou. All right, this seems like some stuff that happens.
Oh,
So
me
I'm
down.
just saying, down in the bayou, this happened. That if I can add down in the bayou to something and it makes sense, then it probably happened to my with my people. So
Absolutely.
yeah,
And
it's
I there was a meme. Very rarely do I interrupt you, Cy Babe, with memes that have meaning to me, but this one touched
Please
my
interrupt.
touched my black shriveled little Grinch heart. Um and it made it grow 3 sizes. Everybody,
Oh.
well, so many folks are all like, "Oh, wow, isn't it sweet that Steve from Blue's Clues said he never stopped thinking about us?" And I'm like, screw that. The thing that touched me was Steve's speech over the Crypt Keeper. You know, I've never stopped thinking of you. I'm super glad we're still friends.
Oh my god.
And it just touched me because the Crypt Keeper, except when he was governor of Minnesota. But the Crypt Keeper was just such a profound and loving influence on my young girl life, watching HBO and recognizing that horror is all around us, and horror touches everything that we,
Yeah.
whether we're playing the lottery and selling our souls, or whether that ventriloquist we really like is actually the living inhibition of some inhabitation, rather, of some horrible demon spirit that's going to kill everyone. It's a beautiful thing, horror, and it's all around. And if it just takes one shrunken head on my headboard to help me remember that the Crypt Keeper is still my friend and loves me, well, isn't that what it's about? Because, like, I don't do ritual cannibalization. Like, I don't go into a building and be like eating somebody's body and drinking somebody's blood, because I think that's creepy. But
Yeah, it's a
watching
bit
it
much.
on TV with a puppet and then wanting my own shrunken head to help remind me, all the things beautiful in the world, that would make life better.
I
I don't know if
I'm
that makes
I'm
me sociopath,
down.
but if it does,
You
then
know,
I
wait, have
okay.
we tried? I'm just gonna look on eBay to see if there's a shrunken head. Wait, is any shrunken head okay, or do you want to shrink the head yourself?
Well,
Is there
a shrunken head would be fine, and then I could get into doing it myself, much like a big chunky
shrunken heads are all right. I see shrunken head with hair. All right, some of these say shrunken head realistic, and I'm like, that's not good enough. I want a real shrunken head, traditional model. Like, what one of these has got to be fucking real or realer than others.
yeah.
I'm just saying, eBay's got you covered somehow. I'm sure because it's eBay, and like, there's not like you can buy weird ass medical equipment on eBay that's a little terrifying. So there's your shrunken skulls out there, baby. I know
Oh,
this.
dark web. Yeah.
Oh,
I
someone said check Etsy.
I
Can you
need
can you still sell human products on eBay? I thought there were, like, look, I'm not saying that I bought codeine on eBay. I'm just saying that I bought enhanced Tylenol on eBay.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that I would actually buy human body parts on eBay, but I will say that, you know, it's sort of an American legacy. I mean, the fact that you had postcards going around showing lynchings and having children, having children in the forefront so that they would know what the horror was, and ripping tokens off of uh, bodies in the process of being murdered. It's an American thing. It's something that happened in the lifetime of my own parents.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
I did the DNA test that tells me I'm 33% KKK. So maybe it's
Every
just
time you say that, I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, I laugh and cringe at the same time. I linge, I think. This,
yes. And that's the thing. But please, please, please let me use this phrase without thinking about horrible, awfully written books. But the shades of gray in this world are
yeah,
there are infinite number. Anybody says they're 50 is an idiot, because there are
yeah,
so many more than that.
yeah. Oh yeah.
How does one reconcile being, for example, I won't even use myself, I'll just use the ancestry I come from. How do you reconcile being the product of a rape that seeks to exploit you economically. You
Yeah.
knowing that you are someone who was bred to be sold to increase the wealth of your white
Yeah.
family members who have nothing to do with you because of the fact that you were bred for that
Yeah.
sole
So,
purpose.
Jessica's asking KKK question mark exclamation point. It's like, yeah, that's
Yeah.
the thing about people about African Americans who were born out of a heritage of slavery is that if they have white in them, it's generally because there was a rape involved, and those are the type of people who were eventually in the KKK.
Yeah.
So that's a hard thing to
And
come
some
to
of
terms with.
prove it too, you know.
Yeah.
It that that's the legacy from which I
Yeah.
come. That's the blood that runs through my veins. That I'm not making it up. This is fact. My father's family comes from Pulaski, Tennessee. That's known in the U.S. as the birthplace of the Ku Klux Klan. When you have very light complexioned people who are black from Pulaski, Tennessee, they
Mm.
look that way because they look that way because white male slave owners impregnated usually what they found to be the prettiest black girls. It didn't even matter a lot of the time, but um, the family lore is that we're good looking because they picked the pretty ones.
Mm.
And that is gallows humor. That is
Yeah.
how you look in the
Oof.
mirror and 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 look at yourself and recognize, wow, I look just like the statue of that guy there.
Oh,
Wait a minute,
that's
that's my great
painful.
great grandfather.
Oof.
Okay. And I look just like him. Yeah, so you
Oh.
figure out how to just go, okay, well, this is what it is. I'm a fully formed human being in my own right, and rather than hating myself, I can make fun of, I can make light of, I can figure out how to reconcile this, that, the other. And I am someone who likes making other people uncomfortable by my own discomfort. So um
That's why
there
we get along.
yeah, like there are a whole lot of people who I'm like, yeah, I understand it's hard to, like, a black dude robbed you when you were young and now you don't like any black people, but keep in mind that you're only here because, like, your family, like, came here and massacred a whole bunch of native people, and you're only here because your family enslaved and held captive and tortured black folks. So what do you think it's like to look at you? And then
I'm
they
just
get mad. I don't get them. Why do they get mad?
I'm just saying I never feel nervous or scared around a black man or a black woman. I feel scared around white men though. I've never had a job or like a harassment. I've never been assaulted by anyone other than a white dude. I'm just saying all the shit that's gone wrong in my life, like, or I'm being a little reductive, but like the things that have happened to me, the criminal assaults, the fuckery at my jobs, it's all been white dudes, all white. And I'm like, I'm not saying this is not hyperbole. White dudes, like, so when people are when specifically white women are scared of black men, I'm like, you need to reevaluate who's actually fucked you over in life.
Mhm. There's
It's not
one
black
book,
people.
They Were Her Property, and it talks about the role of white women and enslavement and beyond. The as we well know, the patriarchy cannot stand without handmaidens, and racism is one part of patriarchy.
Yeah.
When it tells certain people that because of the way you look, the way you were born, you are always placed more highly, more desirably, than others. You are always someone who should be protected and maintained at this level of veneration. But what it means then is that you don't need no college. You just need to breed some white babies for Jesus. And if you're smart,
Mm.
Ginger Duggar, that's just too damn bad because you're a beautiful white woman and you need to stay at this position of privilege and
Yeah.
and adoration, and we can't have you thinking too hard because you might start to question how you got to be that way and why you get to be that way. We don't want none of that. You just sit there and look pretty and pick you a fine suitor to give you some more white babies for Jesus. Um,
Mm.
so if you're complacent in that role, if you're happy to be in that role, if you realize that, well, why be Lisa Simpson when I can be a Kardashian? It lets a lot stay status quo. So
Yeah.
yeah, why think when you can be pretty and desired and better than everyone? I mean, if that's and if you're someone that's all you've got going for you, well, you're going to fight tooth and nail to keep it that way, aren't you? But
Yeah. And the people that are
uh
going to protect it are the men. So allegedly.
oh, British too. Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, oh boy, yeah. See, Americans, we are terrible at talking about class. We use race and we use and education, geography somewhat as proxy for class, but it's all the same. It's all the same thing. Um, really, we if we would talk about class, but we don't have that language to in this culture because everything is so racialized.
There was
We, yeah.
when I lived in England, I worked through because I had a student visa. I worked through a temp agency because it was the easiest way to get work because I didn't know like how my visa worked for that. Anyways, the woman who ran it, her father also worked through a temp agency, and one day he was driving me to a gig. And he's like, he's an older British gentleman, and he has some thoughts on what the word class means. If you have class or you don't have class. And I'm sorry for all the Brits listening to this who are like, don't ever do a British accent again. But he's prattling on about how, well, some people who have money, who have new money, they don't understand what class really means. And he's like, I'm like, are you giving me the rundown of like of My Fair Lady here, like of how new money people aren't classy? Like there's this you need to know how to tee pinky up or like yeah, class has a different meaning to some people. Other yeah, beside like yeah, that was just a interesting thing that people associate with money and how long you have to have it before you quote have class. That was a strange thing I experienced
Well,
once.
Fox is coming out with a drama show based on a book by Lawrence Otis Graham called Our Kind of People.
Hmm.
Lawrence Otis Graham died likely of COVID. Don't quote me though. I know he died recently.
Yeah.
I think it was COVID, but I could be misremembering. Anyhow, he's dead one way or the other. But
Yeah.
he was a securities trader, I believe. Princeton undergrad and grad school, and he worked at a country club at learning to dissect all the different ways that moneyed black people interact with each other. And
Hmm.
he married a woman with a similar background to his own,
Yeah.
who comes from wealthy black people in this country. And uh, in the show that's coming out, there are a bunch of people who are like, "Oh, this is going to be so great," and I don't know. I mean, I as somebody who works in news and
Yeah.
reality production, I know how the sausage is made. So it's
Mm.
it's I'm just I will I watch it? Probably not. I didn't get into The Sopranos until season 3. I am notoriously late at joining things,
Same.
especially if they are well acclaimed. I don't know. I got other things to do. But
I started watching both Breaking Bad and Game of Thrones the last season. Like I watched the full thing and like caught up right before the end of it. Like
oh
and
wow, okay.
I somehow managed to avoid spoilers for Game of Thrones because I didn't know what was going on. Like when
Yeah,
someone was like, "This character died," by the time I watched it, I'd forgotten everyone's name. So
yeah.
yeah, worked out really well. Except I have regrets because Jesus Christ, the last two seasons, like it's. Did you watch Game of Thrones?
I've never seen Game of Thrones.
It's
I
I don't
Jason,
know if I'd even recommend it now.
you know,
Oh, sorry, what?
Jason Momoa's in it, so I should watch it. But
You know, like I almost want to say watch the first 5 seasons and then like pretend like make up what happened in your mind and pretend the last like maybe watch but like 7 and 8 just don't. It's just they like they just they raped the corpse of that series. It was so bad. They did bad things to it. I'm ugh,
I
ugh.
I'm friends with someone who was the roommate of Peter. What's his name? The little person
Oh
and
yeah, yeah, yeah. Peter
Dinklage.
Dinklage. Yeah, he's great.
I have a neighbor who used to be the roommate of Peter Dinklage's brother.
Nice.
So
Nice.
he would come over to all of the parties that this not so great musician would have, but you know how, and everybody was like, you know, yeah, he's half the size of everybody in the room, but he was always like the sexiest dude around.
I've heard that he gets he it's how to phrase I'm stealing the phrase from someone else. He fucks. That is a man who fucks. Just good for him. It's
I have never seen the series. I do know the line, "I drink and I know things," um, but like
seems accurate to life.
I have always like I cannot explain why I find that particular actor attractive. I
He's
don't tend to like blondes. I don't tend to like short dudes. Shorter, well, I like them between
it's
5'8" and
per-
6. But
personality thing. He's
it
he it's
is, and I
he seems like he knows things.
seems like
Like
he seems like he totally like runs shit. Like that's the power person.
he
And
seems like he would know things about the clitoris too, is what it comes down to, and that's attractive. Like he says he knows things. He knows things.
uh, well, he's
Just
married, and I'm married, and
yeah. Like look, this is we're
I'm
allowed. We are
yeah.
allowed fantasies. These are things that are allowed to meander in our brains. Like
I
there's those.
really watch Game of Thrones though. That yeah, that
I'm warning you. The last 2 seasons, especially season 8, like. Whew, they made choices, man. They made like it's kind of like how the last Star Wars movie was so bad that I just pretend it never happened.
I haven't seen a Star Wars since it had that Jar Jar Binks in it, and
Oh
that
god.
angry that I said
Like
I'm never watching another Star Wars, and I haven't. I mean,
I
if you're
was
knock off gay Jamaicans, like at least make it realistic. I know a bunch of gay Jamaicans, and none of them are that
oh
annoying.
my god.
It's
Yeah, it was
or
like Force Awakens was kind of like, "Hey, we're doing a New Hope again, but with new people." I really liked the Last Jedi, and that was like some people were like, "No, you did new things and you subverted expectations. How dare you?" And it's like, maybe they need new things. Can't keep it's like maybe like did you want them to do Empire again? Like but I mean they subverted expectations, which was good. Like it was I thought the strongest one of the new trilogy was The Last Jedi, and I don't think it's even close. But like The Rise of Skywalker was, oh my god, it was bad. It was just like
well,
somewhere in there was a good movie underneath like a pile of shit and bad decisions, but like deciding to make Palpatine.
I love Carrie Fisher. She is my like she is my idol and my icon. Um, oh yes.
Space Mom resides over Sci Space. It's just
Oh my God.
she's here.
Um,
Someone made that like right after she passed, and I needed it.
fine. There's a woman who married Paul Simon and decided that she didn't like Paul Simon anymore, and Paul is still very scarred from that. Like I'm like,
It's
wow,
it's Princess Leia wasn't taking your shit.
Yeah, she was smart, she was beautiful, she was hilarious, she was a deep thinker, and then
Right.
she
She
comes.
was a s she was a script doctor for so many movies in the '90s. She was an incredibly good writer.
Yes, yes, and I mean, that was her own work and her own ability, plus the fact that she came from, the acting legacy family she came from,
Oh, yeah.
like, way to be like, "Yeah, I got the genes, but I got the goods behind it, so
Oh,
one way,
yeah.
here we
Yeah.
go." Um,
Yep.
yeah, listening to her books, any of them on audiobook is incredible because she tells her own story and she's
Yeah.
captivating and she's incredible. And I miss her.
Yeah.
So
Her sister Joelle Fisher follows me on Twitter. I'm just like, "Joelle, you can be in the girl squad too.
yay.
Come
So when
join us."
finally you get around to building our commune,
It's our lady commune.
yes,
The
yes,
men
yes.
can visit,
Men may
but
visit. Men
they
may
can
visit,
visit.
but it
It's
is
it's got
women who have the decision making power, and we
it's got matriarchal society like the bonobos.
exactly.
So,
Yes.
so we're gonna I figure let's wrap it up at like the hour and a half mark. But we're just gonna quickly touch on the other like people are there were some people annoyed that the alpha dog thing is a myth because sorry that like I just here's the thing like I'd known that for ages. Like that paper came out in 1999. The information about the fact that the alpha dog thing was a myth was around forever. I thought more people knew about that, so I was surprised when so many people were like, "What?" Like that. It surprised me that that surprised people, but like. What also surprised me were the comment section with guys who were like, I don't think you get it. Like the alpha dog thing is really just a thing it's a saying to describe men who are really masculine. Like maybe you didn't know that like men and dogs are different species.
As someone who did not know about the
I
alpha
was not aware.
phenomena, it makes total sense when when you think about it, and the way that pups are incredibly playful little things that will wreck your shit if they're not properly directed, a la human children. Oh, it makes sense that mom and dad are like, get off of my couch, close the refrigerator. Oh, wait, no, that's my parents. No, but
Yep.
go play with your siblings. If blood is drawn, then you're in trouble. But until then,
Yep.
burn off that energy. Um, I thought that was incredible and funny and just shocking to me. I'm like, wow, the alpha thing.
Just the parents. Just
Just
parents.
parents keeping their kids in
But
line.
it's like one guy in the comments was like, well, it's not that alphas don't exist, it's that alphas are parents in some species and alphas are men in some species. And I'm like, the
No.
phrase alpha was something that the person who didn't write the initial study coined and later regretted, and a bunch of other people co opted to make themselves feel better about their tiny balls. Ah.
Well,
So,
if
like,
Minaj get their if they
uh,
like Nicki Minaj's cousin's friend get their
they could
vaccine, their
just
balls
get
will
your
swell
vaccine.
up, and didn't happen. Didn't
The
happen. The prime
shot didn't
minister of
cause that.
had to get involved. The prime minister of Trinidad,
I
the
can't
White
believe that.
had to answer in a press conference. We reached out to Ms. Minaj, and it's like, okay, see, this is where cultural competency
Oh
comes
my
in. This is
god.
why it's really helpful, as the Biden administration has, to have a whole bunch of black folks who can tell you, look, this ain't what it looks like. Nicki Minaj is trying to deflect from the fact that her
Husbands.
husband is a
It's
confirmed sex predator who's about to be sentenced. She's
yeah.
trying to like
Sex
be
pest.
relevant in a way that like is jumping on with some of the more popular rappers who have come out recently against vaccination. You don't know who they are, and you don't need to know who they are, but just know that like she's trying to get back in with the
Yeah.
people who are her demographics. Who our demographics are fans of as well, and she was like, "Yeah, don't do this because it'll mess with your man parts." knowing that it's a lie, knowing that it's made up, and
Oh,
then
he failed to register as a sex offender. That was the thing.
yeah,
Jesus.
yeah, he felt,
Yikes, Nikki.
and she, you know,
And
standing
like
by the man was like, oh, she said a bunch of stuff about how it's not really his fault, and it's like, no, 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 yeah, yeah.
here's the thing, like I'm almost always automatically on team you know, female artist in the public eye who's got a contentious thing to say. It's like because most of the time they're being you know, attacked for their body, their youth, the fact that like it's, you know, men will automatically be assumed to be you know, a more serious artist than a woman, even if, you know, whatever the caliber of the music is, like that's always up for debate. But still, like I'm almost always on team, you know, woman. Like, but it's like here's the thing, and I've seen this being weaponized in the comment section when, you know, I made a joke, like put up a meme about this. Someone was like, you know, it was a 4-panel meme, and some of the first panel was, you know, listen to all, you know, all black women should be listened to, and then the next one was Nicki Minaj saying, you know, thing about the balls, and the next panel was same face, and the next panel was like the, you know, angry face, like how dare, and it's like, you know, here's the thing. I'll consider the opinions. I'll listen to. You gotta talk to and gotta have the conversation with. That doesn't mean that everything that comes out of everyone's fucking mouth, man, woman, child, black, white, purple, is gonna be true. But you listen, okay? You have the conversation, and then if they're full of shit, if they're saying the thing to deflect from the fact that their husband happens to be a child molester, you don't take it seriously.
Right.
We can have nuance, and we can think about if the thing that's being said is real or not. Doesn't mean automatically like, and it's just they know. Here's the thing: they know that's a specious argument. They know they're full of shit when they say, "Why aren't you listening to all women?" Same reason we don't listen to all men, because some people are liars.
Yes, indeed. Some people are liars, and you gotta use your common sense, and you gotta look into it, and
Yeah,
it's we know this, and we know this, and eventually we'll get to the point where it's obvious
yeah,
that um, it's not bias that makes you look into something. You
yeah.
look into everybody, whether you like them or not. Um,
Yep.
the missive is, you know, your mom says she loves you, check it out. um if you do that,
Double check.
you know, you tend to come out, tend to come out more often, finding what actually happened and what is true. So it doesn't matter if you love the idea of the alpha male.
Yeah,
It's
like
parents,
it's
kids in
there
love.
are there are articles that beginning of the day I thought I was going to write one article, and after 2 hours of starting to write that article I found out I was totally fucking wrong and had to redo it. And I didn't want to do extra work, but the facts were not compliant with what I thought I was going to do. Like I started off the day with the banana article that did really well on artificial flavor. I thought that the reason that artificial banana flavor tastes off to us is that it was based on the Gros Michel, the old the former banana variety that was most common through the world before it was taken out by a fungus and called Panama disease. Then, but like through the research, it turned out that that was kind of a flavor they found that kind of smelled like banana, and they found out later it happened like 50 years after they'd already been using it. They found out that that exact chemical they've been using in banana oil happened to also be in in bananas. So like they didn't extract it from the original thing as an attempt to like you know, because it came from it. They were like, you know, oh, this, like they also used it as a pear flavor in England because that like it to their palate smelled more like a pear. But it was just this oil, like it's like I set out to be like, yeah, the reason that it tastes weird to us is that it was derived from this. Nope, it wasn't derived from. It just happened to be in, you know, happened to be one that they were making up because it's like it smells fruity and it won't kill you. All, it's both, but it's just that it's one chemical, and flavors are like in fruits are made up of like a zillion chemicals. So banana flavor is much more complex. So the banana oil with this one thing, it tastes more strongly of that old banana flavor because there was more of it in the Gros Michel, and this one And it's the one that we have now, the Cavendish, that's probably going to be extinct in like the next decade or two. That one has less of the isoamyl acetate, so that's why. But like I said up in the beginning of the day, being like, yeah, they got it from the Gros Michel, and I was wrong. But that's
Oh,
the thing. You set off to find out what's true, not to write a thing based on what you think is true, and that's how these articles go. Like, sorry, Alpha Wolf's a man. Alpha Wolf's a myth, and so is the Gros Michel being what we got artificial banana flavor from. Like, sometimes things are just myths, and we have to deal with that. Like, and you have to change your mind. And if you don't change your mind when something is shown to be a myth, who's the asshole?
exactly.
Like, I'm not doing this to hurt anyone. I'm not doing this to, like, this. It's Mrs. Auntie Cybabe is not finding out the things you held dear for a while aren't true to make you sad. I'm
You
finding
know,
out they're not true because that's my job.
that's your
Like,
job. Damn
yeah.
great at it. And I'm delighted to be able to read you and yeah, support Cy Babe. If you're
So,
not on again, you should.
and support Jamila too. It's anyways. This is we're gonna wrap up because I did not pour any resin yesterday because I had stuff that was still drying, and I want to go. I got a Scrabble board that I want to try making, which is fucking terrifying because I have to take toothpicks and like put resin through. Anyways, I want to go start making that. Jamila, where can people find you?
Best way is online. I'm trying to do Instagram, whatever that means. On Instagram, I'm Spar with Jamila. That's like my show in DC, the Sex, Politics, and Religion Hour. As
Nice.
Spar with Jamila. And yeah, I show up here and live stream with Sabe every other week.
Ta-da. I love it. All right.
Yeah.
And of course, you guys, it's my call to action. Go. It's if you want to support Jamila in just a more direct way. And of course, I of course put things for the boy on the Amazon wish list. We both have wish lists below. I'm if you send me a resin thing, like either because there are bottles of resin, because that stuff I eventually run out of it, and there are little molds in there. It's you send me a message and I'll make you a thing of I'll make you something if you send me a resin thing. Anyways, but yeah, Amazon wish lists are below. Great way to support the thing is either a one-time donation at PayPal, or a better way to support our whole shindig is of course Patreon, because that you get perks out of that. There are patron exclusive live streams. There's going to be one this Saturday where we, patriotically prank call our representatives, because it's your patriotic duty to call your state reps. And gosh darned it, as an adult, no one's stopping you from doing that in front of a live audience and making very honest phone calls. Anyways, we will see you guys. I'll see you guys on Friday, and Jamila and I will be back. We skipped earlier this month. Do you want to do something again next weekend, or are you? Yeah, let's do it. I'll shoot you an invite, and we'll do next weekend.
Awesome.
Cool. That's all right. We will see you guys all next week. All right. Bye, everyone. Mwah. Bye.